Hey, how are you? This is Christopher Sally with Nonfiction Fitness. Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in today. I'm going to get you today a quick video instructional on how you can develop better hip rotation. Okay, because whether you play sports or whether you just like to walk or whether you just want to be stronger in general, hip rotation is a big key to that. Just as an example, if you put your hands here, you can feel this big bone. It's called your ASIS. It's this bone that's part of your pelvis. If you think about how you would need to position your body in order to get more strength, you'd actually have to rotate this a little bit in order to be able to get maximal strength if you were to say push something or if you were to say pull something. So your body naturally knows that it needs to have this rotational position be in place in order for you to be able to generate maximal power. And that may be, like I said, for a sports context, or it may just be for walking because you also have to rotate every time you take a step forward. Or like I said, when you have to push or pull something and your body has to generate some sort of power. Also, lack of hip rotation can really limit proper spinal and pelvic health and healing capabilities. So this is a really important thing that I think everybody really needs to take notice of. So I'm sharing this video with you for that reason. So before we get really into the whole meat of everything, let me just kind of show you the structure. So this is the spine, this is the pelvis. Okay, this makes up the pelvic girdle. This is the sacrum. This is the bottom of the spine. And in the body, of course, it's not attached with metal rods here. It's attached with ligaments and muscle and other connective tissue. But it's all one piece. If you see from the back, it's all one piece. It all moves together. And it's basically one big unit of power and stability and nerve flow. Like you can see the nerve flow that comes from the sacrum, same thing with the lumbar spine. Then we have the leg. Top of the leg is the hip joint. Okay, that's where this ball comes in and meets this socket right there. So we get a lot of rotation here, both from this as well as from this. We'll talk about that a little bit. But basically every time that you bring your leg forward, your pelvis is having to kind of rotate a little bit in order for you to do that. And then you imagine this back leg back, and then your pelvis has to kind of rotate, so your hips are rotating all the time. So let's talk about how to get more, right? Because I don't think it's a tough sell to tell you that we need to address this area, because I'm sure that if you're like most people in America, you've probably had some degree of lower back pain at some point, maybe around this area, which is kind of like just to the side of like the top of the crack. It's called your sacroiliac joint. I get pain there every once in a while, and maybe you do too. So let's talk about how we can open this up and start to get our hips rotating better. So first thing I'm going to have you do is go ahead and find something to stabilize your body. It can be a wall, it can be a chair, whatever it is. And what you're going to do is you're just going to slightly lean onto one side. I'm going to start with my right side, and we're just going to turn the leg in. Okay, so what we're essentially doing is we're rotating here at the hip joint. So we're turning the leg in, and what you're going to see and feel is this pelvic girdle start to rotate with it. So you're more or less kind of rotating the leg that's off the ground, and you're rotating the leg that's on the ground, because you're going to feel it in both places. Okay, once we've done 10 to the inside slowly and with control, we're going to do 10 to the outside. So now we're going to go 10 outside. Okay, and if you feel comfortable going all the way around, go for it, but just keep it, within a range that you can control and stabilize, and use the wall or the chair to help brace you. All you're really trying to do is just turn the leg, and you can use the foot as your reference, because you can see when I turn my hip, my foot will move, so I can use my foot as my reference, and I can either go short or I can go big. Okay, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever doesn't hurt, whatever feels good to you. So we're going to do that on the right side, and then of course we're going to do that same thing on the left side. I don't really need to go over that again, but just so that you know, I would recommend doing it on both sides, to both directions. Then what we're going to do is something slightly different. So what we did there was something called, this will get a little techie, open chain. So you see how this makes a big chain? When I lift my foot up, it means I am open chained. that means this whole thing, my foot included, rotates together. When my foot is on the ground, it's something called closed chain. My foot is locked to the ground and my leg rotates around my foot and my foot doesn't really go anywhere. So you're only gonna really get movement up at the top and a little bit here at the knee, okay? So what that's gonna look like is this. This is closed chain hip and spine rotation. So I'm going to start this by going all to one side. We're going to start this by going all to one side, 10, all to one side, 10. And then what we're going to do to kind of amp this up is we're going to rotate the hips one way, but the shoulders another way. This is going to really get us even more rotation to our spine. Okay? Because what happens is when one part rotates one way, the other part has to rotate the opposite way, and it's kind of like almost like this wringing of the towel, kind of whoosh, like this. So we're going to do that here with this standing rotation. We're going to rotate the hips to the left, shoulders and trunk to the right. And then, just to kick it up one more notch, we're gonna rotate the head back to the same side as our pelvis. And then, as you can see, watch, I can get more rotation here. It's almost like I'm wringing the towel. Now, you may have to watch that a couple of times to get the motion down, and you may have to do this in front of a mirror to really be able to separate all these segments, because you're gonna have to rotate here, here, and here, and then full rotation. Practice that at home. If you want some help with that, come on in. James or I can take a look and help you figure that out, but that's gonna be really good for opening up hip rotation, trunk rotation, spine rotation, keeping those joints lubricated, helping those tissues stay healthy, helping you be able to perform better in sports and exercise. And then once you really feel comfortable, then what I would recommend is that you start with split stance rotations, where you're actually making this full excursion around your leg and rotating your body. And you can even add in a little punch and get a little power behind it. This is something that we do with a lot of our clients to help them with that power generation. So feel it out, see what feels good for you, and if you need any help, let me know. So this has been Chris Verselli, Nonfiction Fitness. Go out there and rotate like a champ. God bless.